Hello, trading was concluded on December 8th, 2020. We'll do our disclaimer first, as always. It's my plan for tomorrow, December 9th, 2020. If we gap smartly in the undesired direction, the call's kill before we open. No guarantee I'm right. Trade at your own risk. Here's my email. Let's go over our calls. We said we look for the pattern with the early low. This is the early low. Tomorrow has the early high. We said the commonest thing was to gap and trade outside yesterday's range. We did that in the first 5 minutes. We said there was a hole in the wall, a gap here, and these things tended to fill when we trade over this high, usually within a day. That's typically a resistance area, but here it became support. So all that worked. Here's just a review of what we said. Gap, move outside the range, and all that business. Hole in the wall gap tends to fill. All right, well, let's see what MEJT said today. Identified all these squiggles as false moves, said they retraced, and they all did. We hit a new all-time high, and then we closed under all these highs. You can interpret that as a rejection of the high unless we gap and take this high out early. And unless we do that, I think we'll see lower prices tomorrow, even if we don't close lower. The futures are already up. We've gone well over this price in futures, so it isn't unreasonable that we do get the gap and move over this high that we need. But there's no guarantee it happens tomorrow. I still think we have a chance for a blow off top here, but there are a number of stops along the way. This high is one of those possible stops. Here's 78.6, take 100. That's today's high. You can see how the high and the low line up on the square of 9. You can count this as A, B, C with perfect fibs. And if you look at wave B, you have an A, B, C with perfect fibs. I mean, if this is, and this is probably a rising wedge, that's not a healthy pattern. So if we do drop from here, you can explain it after the fact. But there were a number of other places where you could explain the drop too. We just have to be aware of the fact that for the rally to continue unabated, we're going to have to clear this high early. Wednesday's pattern is really high. Doesn't mean you won't gap down. Typically it's a rally day with a final hour high. Failure is a straight line drop. We rallied all day, closed under the midday highs. Once we gap and promptly overtake the high, should see lower prices, even if we don't close lower. We've already printed higher in futures, so if we gap up, it's plausible. Whether or not we trade higher tomorrow, we should trade higher than today's high at some point. I don't think that's the end of the road. But there is strong resistance at today's high. If we don't take out today's high fast, nothing precludes us from dropping first. Sentiment indicators are compatible with a major top. These are really off the chart. And typically what happens is everyone's convinced they don't mean anything. Everyone goes all in, and that's when the rug pull comes. I'm not saying it happens tomorrow. You just have to be aware these extreme readings don't stick around forever. Seasonal factors could allow us to rally into the end of the year, or even a bit longer than that. But I don't think we'll rally much longer than that in terms of time, regardless of how high we could go in terms of price. And again, I've said we have the potential, but not the obligation to have a blow off top here. But there are a number of stops along the way which are possible. This is one. If we don't clear this out early, it could be a serious drop, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did. I've been surprised before. I don't predict what happens overnight. We'll just say tomorrow's the pattern. With the early high, it's typically bullish, but failure is a straight line drop, and that is today's call.